In a dramatic turn of events, President Donald Trump's recent Oval Office meeting with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has sparked a whirlwind of reactions showcasing the complexities of international diplomacy amid contentious domestic narratives. The meeting, which occurred on May 21, 2025, was marked by Trump's controversial remarks regarding race relations in South Africa, igniting both concern and outrage back home. While many South Africans braced for a heated confrontation akin to February's tense exchange between Trump and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, President Ramaphosa managed to maintain his composure throughout the encounter. As noted in a local newspaper, all in all it was awful, but it could have been worse. Trump's meeting was laden with unexpected provocations, including a peculiar request to dim the lights while he presented a montage of videos alleging white genocide in South Africa. Despite the gravity of these claims, Ramaphosa remained diplomatic, showcasing his experience as a key mediator during the end of apartheid. In a subsequent press briefing, Ramaphosa attempted to downplay the encounter, stating, "Behind closed doors at the lunch that followed the Oval Office drama, things had gone well." He expressed optimism about continued trade discussions and hinted that Trump might still attend the upcoming G20 summit in Johannesburg. However, the meeting has been polarizing, with South Africans expressing a mixture of admiration for Ramaphosa's restraint and frustration over his failure to counter Trump's claims more forcefully. The crux of Trump's assertions revolved around a series of disinformation narratives regarding violence against white farmers in South Africa. He repeatedly cited a conspiracy theory about systemic persecution, misrepresenting a memorial protest as evidence of genocide. South African media and social commentators have criticized Trump's reliance on dubious sources to uphold his claims, with Ramaphosa's delegation working tirelessly to correct the record. The fallout from this meeting resonates beyond South Africa, drawing attention to a broader context of U.S. trade and diplomatic relations. Trump's tariffs and trade policies continue to create ripples across global markets, with the European Union recently proposing a fresh trade deal to the U.S. that includes phased tariff cuts and cooperation in sectors like energy and digital infrastructure. This comes at a time when U.S.-China relations remain tenuous, with both nations responding to recent tariff negotiations with heightened rhetoric and legal threats. J.P. Morgan's CEO Jamie Dimon has highlighted the potential economic repercussions of these trade tensions, warning that the U.S. economy could slip into stagflation if geopolitical risks persist. Retail giants like Walmart are already feeling the pressure, with CEO Doug McMillon indicating that tariff-related costs will inevitably lead to price increases on consumer goods. Trump's admonishment of Walmart to eat the tariffs reflects the administration's struggle to manage the narrative around these economic policies. As the world watches these developments unfold, the implications for U.S. Africa relations remain uncertain. Ramaphosa's calm demeanor in the face of Trump's provocations may signal a strategic approach to diplomacy that prioritizes long-term partnerships over immediate confrontations. However, the underlying tensions exposed during their meeting could complicate future interactions, particularly as disinformation continues to shape perceptions on both sides. Looking ahead, the interplay of domestic policies such as the ongoing debates over immigration and tariffs will likely influence international relations in significant ways. With the G20 summit approaching, Ramaphosa's ability to navigate these complexities will be crucial for strengthening ties with the U.S. and addressing the pressing issues facing South Africa. As these narratives evolve, the global community remains poised to respond to the impacts of Trump's policies on international diplomacy and trade. As the long-standing rivalry between the United States and Canada heats up on the ice, the upcoming hockey game between the two nations is poised to attract significant attention, not only for the sport itself but also for the political commentary surrounding it. On Thursday, U.S. President Donald Trump generated headlines with his announcement that he would not attend the highly anticipated Four Nations Face-Off final at TD Garden in Boston. Instead, he will be addressing governors in Washington, D.C., a commitment he acknowledged in a post on Truth Social. "I will be speaking before the governors tonight in D.C. and will sadly therefore be unable to attend. But we will all be watching, and if Governor Trudeau would like to join us, he would be most welcome, Trump wrote, mistakenly referring to Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as a governor. This faux pas, along with Trump's previous remarks about Canada potentially becoming the 51st state, underscores the tense and often contentious relationship between the two leaders and their countries. In recent months, Trump has escalated his rhetoric against Canada, threatening tariffs and even an invasion, which has led to a noticeable backlash. During a previous match, Canadian fans aggressively booed the U.S. national anthem, a clear expression of their discontent. Trump's comments on Truth Social appear to further inflame the situation. "I'll be calling our great American hockey team this morning to spur them on towards victory tonight against Canada, which with far lower taxes and much stronger security will someday, maybe soon, become our cherished and very important 51st state," he declared, mixing bravado with a hint of mockery. The anticipation for Thursday's game has only been amplified by the physicality displayed in previous encounters, including 3 fights in the first 9 seconds of a match last Saturday, which the U.S. won 3-1. As both teams prepare for the final, the stakes are high, especially for Team USA, which is grappling with injury woes. The game is not just a sporting event, it has morphed into a spectacle that reflects broader national sentiments and political dynamics. The match is set to begin at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time and will be available for viewing on ESPN, along with streaming options on ESPN Plus and Disney Plus. As Trump wished the teams good luck, he inadvertently turned the game into a political talking point, suggesting that it could serve as a microcosm of U.S.-Canada relations. As the puck drops, all eyes will be on the ice, not only to see which country emerges victorious but also to gauge the impact of Trump's comments on the nation's unity and international sportsmanship. With the current political climate, this game could very well be a litmus test for the relationships forged in both sports and diplomacy, leaving many to wonder how the dynamics will evolve in the future. In a pivotal moment for the Trump administration, the House of Representatives has narrowly passed a sweeping domestic policy bill that aims to reshape the nation's economic landscape. The legislation, which President Trump has dubbed the Big Beautiful Bill, is projected to have significant implications for taxation, healthcare, immigration, and energy policy, reflecting the administration's core priorities. With a vote tally of 215 to 214, the passage represents a hard-fought victory for both Trump and Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, who faced considerable opposition from within their own party. The multi-trillion-dollar package comes at a time when the Republican Party is grappling with internal divisions. Speaker Johnson acknowledged the challenges ahead, stating, "We're accomplishing a big thing here today. But we know this isn't the end of the road." The bill now heads to the Senate, where GOP leaders plan to refine its provisions further. At its core, the legislation proposes an estimated $3.8 trillion tax cut, primarily benefiting wealthier Americans, while simultaneously slashing funding for crucial programs such as Medicaid and the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program (SNAP). These cuts are intended to offset the costs of tax reductions and additional military spending, which includes a proposed $150 billion boost to defense budgets aimed at enhancing national security and immigration enforcement. The bill also proposes a significant overhaul of tax policies, extending tax cuts initiated in 2017 and introducing new temporary cuts for overtime pay and tips. A notable aspect is the provision allowing Americans over the age of 65 to receive a $4,000 deduction on their taxes, although this benefit diminishes for higher earners. However, the proposed changes to tax deductions have sparked contention, particularly surrounding the state and local tax SALT deduction, with some Republicans from high-tax states advocating for even greater increases to the cap. On the healthcare front, the bill introduces strict work requirements for Medicaid recipients, aiming to reduce federal spending by an estimated $700 billion over the next decade. Critics, particularly from the Democratic Party, have decried these changes, arguing they will ultimately strip health coverage from millions of vulnerable Americans. The Congressional Budget Office has estimated that the legislation could result in 8.6 million additional individuals becoming uninsured by 2035. In a significant departure from previous policies, the legislation also curtails clean energy tax credits established under the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022, which had spurred over $841 billion in investments nationwide. This shift has raised alarm among some Republicans who recognize the potential negative impact on jobs and energy security in their districts. As the House continues to face backlash over the rapid passage of the bill, Democrats have warned that the sweeping cuts will disproportionately harm low-income individuals and families. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries articulated these concerns, stating children will get hurt. Women will get hurt. Older Americans who rely on Medicaid for nursing home care will get hurt. With the Senate now tasked with deliberating the bill, Republican leaders are under pressure to navigate the complex landscape of party factions while ensuring the final legislation aligns with Trump's vision. The administration aims to send the finalized bill to Trump's desk for his signature by July 4, marking a pivotal step in the implementation of his domestic agenda. As the nation watches, the outcomes of these legislative maneuvers will not only define Trump's legacy but could also reshape the political and economic fabric of the United States in the years to come. The ongoing debates within Congress signal that this is merely the beginning of a complex and contentious legislative journey. As the world watches the unfolding political landscape in the United States, the first 100 days of Donald Trump's second term have been anything but ordinary. Following a tumultuous first 4 years, his latest administration has already encountered significant challenges, particularly concerning economic policy and international trade relations. These developments are crucial not only for the future of Trump's presidency but also for investors and consumers alike, as they navigate a climate of uncertainty and shifting economic indicators. In the immediate aftermath of Trump's election, financial markets displayed remarkable resilience. The S&P 500 index surged by nearly 70% during his first term, while riskier assets like Bitcoin saw even more astronomical gains. However, the initial optimism of Trump's new term has quickly given way to apprehension following the introduction of high reciprocal tariffs on April 2. This announcement sent shockwaves through the stock market, leading to a sharp decline in share prices. While a subsequent 90-day pause on these tariffs provided a brief respite, the temporary agreement with China in May has done little to quell investor fears regarding potential inflation and the dampening of economic growth. The economic mood is decidedly sour, with expectations about the short-term health of the economy plummeting to a 12-year low. This pessimism, once largely confined to Democratic-leaning areas, has begun to permeate Republican strongholds as well. Business leaders are expressing trepidation, delaying investments and issuing warnings about future earnings amid extraordinary economic uncertainty. According to recent data, the S&P 500 remains only slightly above its levels on Election Day, reflecting the market's struggle to find footing amidst fluctuating policies. Meanwhile, the foreign exchange market has also exhibited volatility. Initially, the dollar appreciated as traders speculated that tariffs would push the Federal Reserve to tighten monetary policy. However, fears surrounding the tariffs' impact on economic growth led to a depreciation of the dollar in March. Trump's Liberation Day tariffs further exacerbated this decline, although the currency has since shown slight recovery. Despite the dollar's status as the world's reserve currency, its reputation as a safe haven is diminishing. Bond markets have not escaped the turbulence either, with 10-year Treasury bond yields fluctuating significantly since Trump's election. After rising post-election, yields fell until mid-January but have recently begun to climb again, raising concerns about the looseness of Trump's fiscal plans. The uncertainty surrounding economic policies is influencing investor sentiment across various asset classes, particularly cryptocurrencies. Although Trump had promised to position the U.S. as a leader in the crypto space, the anticipated surge in digital currencies has yet to materialize. Bitcoin, for instance, has seen significant price fluctuations recently, stabilizing but still grappling with the volatility characteristic of the current administration's economic strategies. Amid this backdrop of economic uncertainty, significant legislative actions are also unfolding. House Republicans recently passed a substantial bill that includes tax breaks and cuts to various programs, with a crucial vote from Georgia Representative Andrew Clyde securing its passage. This move reflects the administration's ongoing push for sweeping reform, although it raises further questions about its long-term economic implications. As the Biden administration grapples with the fallout from its own policies, the potential scrapping of initiatives like the Inflation Reduction Act could have far-reaching consequences for the economy. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court's deliberations regarding contentious issues such as birthright citizenship present additional layers of complexity to an already intricate political landscape. In conclusion, the first 100 days of Donald Trump's second term highlight a period marked by volatility and uncertainty. As markets react to his administration's policies and legislative moves, investors and consumers alike are left to ponder the implications of these developments. Looking ahead, the trajectory of Trump's economic policies and their impact on both domestic and international fronts will be critical to watch as the world seeks clarity in an increasingly unpredictable landscape. How these challenges will be navigated remains to be seen, but the stakes are undoubtedly high for all involved. In a significant development concerning U.S. presidential transportation, the Pentagon has officially accepted a luxury Boeing 747-8 jet from Qatar as a gift, with plans to upgrade it for use as a new Air Force One for President Donald Trump. This announcement, made on May 21, 2025, has sparked a mixture of excitement and concern among lawmakers and national security experts. The aircraft, valued at approximately $200 million, will undergo extensive modifications to meet the security and operational standards necessary for presidential travel. The Department of Defense will work to ensure proper security measures and functional mission requirements are considered for an aircraft used to transport the President of the United States, stated Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell. The urgency of these upgrades is underscored by President Trump's desire to have the plane operational by the end of the year. Air Force Secretary Troy Mink acknowledged during Senate testimony that converting a civilian aircraft for presidential use involves significant modifications. Any civilian aircraft will take significant modifications to do so, he stated, highlighting the complexities of retrofitting the jet to include essential defenses against potential threats such as missile attacks and electromagnetic interference from nuclear blasts. Despite the apparent advantages of acquiring a new aircraft, the decision has not been without controversy. Some members of Congress have expressed concerns that the Trump administration may rush the process, potentially compromising safety standards. Senator Tammy Duckworth, a Democrat from Illinois, raised alarms during a Senate hearing questioning whether the pressures to expedite the conversion could lead to cutting corners on operational security. Moreover, the nature of the gift itself has raised eyebrows, with some legislators speculating whether Qatar might be attempting to exert influence over the Trump administration. Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman bin Jassim Al Thani, the Qatari Prime Minister, publicly dismissed these claims, asserting that the donation was a gesture of goodwill and partnership. "We are a country that would like to have a strong partnership and strong friendship," he stated, emphasizing the mutual benefits of U.S.-Qatar relations. The logistical and financial implications of retrofitting the Qatari jet are substantial. Pentagon officials estimate that it could cost upwards of $1 billion to prepare the aircraft for service, a process that may take longer than the ongoing construction of two new 747 jets by Boeing, scheduled for delivery in 2027. Each Air Force One configuration is expected to incur maintenance costs of around $135 million annually. The acceptance of the Qatari jet has prompted scrutiny from both sides of the aisle. Senate Majority Leader John Thune remarked on the need for thorough examination of the arrangement, while Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer attempted to introduce legislation to prohibit the use of a foreign jet as Air Force One, calling the deal the largest foreign bribe in modern history. However, this legislation was blocked, reflecting the complexities of bipartisan agreement on national security matters. As discussions continue regarding the future of Air Force One, the decision to accept the Qatari jet underscores broader themes of international relations and defense spending within the Trump administration. The dynamics surrounding this aircraft will likely continue to evolve, with congressional oversight expected to play a crucial role in shaping its future use and the implications it carries for U.S. foreign policy. Ultimately, as the Air Force prepares to modify this aircraft, the path forward remains uncertain, with many eyes watching how this unusual diplomatic gesture unfolds in the context of American security and international diplomacy. In a striking display of political theater, U.S. President Donald Trump's recent meeting with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has transformed the Oval Office into a stage for confrontation rather than diplomacy. This encounter follows a similar pattern established earlier this year, with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy showcasing a shift in how presidential engagements are conducted under Trump's administration. During the meeting, which has since sparked widespread commentary, the atmosphere was charged as Trump confronted Ramaphosa with a video that depicted alleged persecution of white farmers in South Africa. The video presented unannounced played protest footage and inflammatory imagery, painting a picture of a country in turmoil over racial tensions. As Trump stated, "You do allow them to take land, and then when they take the land they kill the white farmer," he underscored his framing of the narrative, a stance that many experts have criticized as unfounded. The approach taken by Trump has been characterized as reality TV diplomacy, where the Oval Office is less a venue for serious negotiations and more a platform for spectacle. This transformation poses significant risks to U.S. foreign relations. As Cameron Hudson, a senior fellow at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, described the meeting, it was akin to a circus, one that could have dire consequences for American credibility on the global stage. The implications of Trump's confrontational style are profound. No longer is a visit to the Oval Office viewed as a prestigious diplomatic opportunity. Instead, it has become a treacherous endeavor, particularly for leaders from smaller or non-aligned nations. Such encounters could foster reluctance among foreign dignitaries to engage with the U.S., especially at a time when geopolitical competition with nations like China and Russia is intensifying. Former U.S. Ambassador to South Africa Patrick Gaspard lamented the spectacle, asserting that Trump's tactics undermined the integrity of diplomatic discourse. "Engaging on Trump's terms never goes well for anyone," he stated. This reflects a broader concern among political analysts that the U.S. could find itself increasingly isolated as allies become wary of public humiliation during high-stakes meetings. Amidst the tension, Ramaphosa remained composed despite Trump's provocations, attempting to steer the conversation towards constructive dialogue. His efforts were met with apparent indifference from Trump, who seemed more interested in sensationalism than substantive discussions. This dynamic highlights a troubling trend where diplomacy is overshadowed by an emphasis on performance, raising questions about the future of international relations under Trump's administration. The ramifications of this shift are already visible. Analysts warn that by prioritizing political theater over genuine engagement, the U.S. risks alienating key partners. South Africa, a significant player in African geopolitics and China's top trading partner on the continent, may find itself drawn closer to Beijing as a result of Trump's abrasive tactics. As the landscape of international diplomacy continues to evolve, it is crucial to monitor how these encounters will shape perceptions of the U.S. on the global stage. The transformation of the Oval Office from a sanctuary of diplomatic dialogue to a forum for political ambush raises critical questions about the future of American leadership and the integrity of its alliances. With tensions rising and competition for influence intensifying, the stakes could not be higher. The world watches closely as the unfolding narrative of U.S. diplomacy under Trump takes shape, potentially marking a new era of engagement that prioritizes spectacle over substance.